later. You get all the time you want.
8 or 9.
Yeah,
She
5
called
hour
her family
battery.
8 or 9 times, and they
And her
refused.
friend in
And
Prairie View.
and they all refused to bond her out.
Yeah. Well.
What does that have to do with her being murdered?
Bonded her out. Okay.
What does that have to do with her being murdered? If they refuse to bail her out, you know what should have happened? She should have had time to go to court or serve her time.
No, that's all right. Thank y'all.
Appreciate
Don't
you.
Mr. I'm from here. I want to ask
What's your
Let's
name
go.
so I can title the video?
Mr. I'm from
What does that have to do
R.
with her being murdered?
Glenn
She
Smith.
should have had a
Well, thank you. A lot of law enforcement wouldn't have the integrity to walk out here and have this conversation. I appreciate that.
Well, I understand, and I understand the.
Well, it's
I
fact.
I don't wish this on nobody. Okay.
On me.
And I totally understand every bit of it.
But just so
Hopefully
you know, I
most
mean,
of
I
it
do
all.
appreciate the integrity to
Well,
walk out here and have this conversation.
Hopefully the
'Cause a lot of
FBI
cops
and
would not do
Rangers
that.
will come back and buy, it's just a bad deal, okay? But we don't, trust me, we don't spend our time jumping up and down wanting to go through this, okay? To have these kind of things happen. So, I hate it.
So
All the way
based
around.
on what's happening, are y'all implementing changes in the way your procedures of how you're doing things?
Already have.
Intake?
Oh, yeah.
No more trash bags and
Like,
cells.
no
And I
trash
think
bags and stuff?
statewide, if nothing else, that does not do her family any good, okay? They've lost a daughter, sister. But I'm telling you right now, there'll be a lot of good changes coming out of that with things like our local mental health authorities interviewing, people that come in a whole lot closer. Our jailers will probably end up with more rules from the state. I've already implemented them here. I don't give them an option now. Where the rules now, and the way the law is, if you're not making an outcry, or if I don't see you in distress, I don't have to call the mental health authority to get you checked. But now, if we know remotely you got anything in your past, you get interviewed now here. So, as I said, that doesn't do Sandra Bland's family any good. But at least this part, there'll be some good come out of it.
There wasn't already a policy
You know.
regarding suicidal ideation and having somebody evaluated?
That's what I just said.
No, I understand that you just said that there will be, but
No.
historically,
What I said was the way the law is now, if you come in and tell us that, you're to go out and try to commit suicide, but you're talking, you're acting fine, you don't act like you're stressing, we don't have to call the local mental health authority.
didn't she say that happened in February?
No,
Or
it
wasn't
was.
okay, it was something.
It was, one of the forms, it's got 2015, but that's not accurate. It was 14
Okay.
when she did, okay?
All
Can I
right.
ask that question, Sheriff? Why were there 3 different forms that had her saying that she tried attempted suicide?
It's
With
two.
two, okay.
What they do here, every jail on that is different. Obviously, you go to Harris County, you might get stuck for hours or a day before you ever get processed, just by the nature of how many people. But if you look on that video, when they come in that room, a jailer comes out there and meets them, looks at them, see if there's any physical thing wrong with them, or you bleeding, or you hurt, and then they ask them those questions. They go through them. How do you feel? You depressed? You ever try to commit suicide? You on any medication? And all that. Get them out of their clothes, give them jail clothes, and put them in the holding cell. Later on, they bring them back up to their computer, and they go back to the same thing again and put it on computer. She changed some of the answers. It's not unusual. First time she said she was depressed. Second time, she told the jailer, "No, I'm pissed." She didn't put "I'm pissed" on the form. She just put "No, I'd be pissed too." She was
Well,
very
Sheriff, I just want to bring up one thing and then I'll leave.
No.
Okay, between the DPS video from the dash cam and the video here, the reason why people have a lot of questions of what's going on, because there's numerous anomalies in the videos. There's anomalies in the booking and intake videos that you have, and there's anomalies with the DPS video.
I get it.
Of all the
And
times that
I'm
I've
gonna
seen
show you
this,
my
I haven't
ignorance,
seen
but But
Go ahead.
Number of what now?
Video anomalies, where things in your video
Inconsistencies, sir.
inconsistencies, where your video freezes at times,
Yes.
Right.
and it occurs, and then the same thing with the DPS video, and it's about the same person. Never in my life of being involved in this and watching videos have I seen the amount of anomalies involved, and not one set of videos, but now your set of videos. So what is the
I
difference
can't.
between your set of videos and the DPS videos, which are different
Yeah.
jurisdictions and different
Right.
times?
I have-
Both of y'all's concerning Sandra Bland's have numerous anomalies where the video freezes or it loops.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me? Have you noticed that looking at your own video,
The
like
white
in the
car
past?
disappeared.
Have you-
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
I've got no idea about Trooper's video. I don't even know what brand it is or what he's doing. I can tell you in here
What about yours?
that every camera in here is motion censored.
Okay, motion sensor.
And things stop and start, stop and start. I can secondary tell you that we pulled the whole, we called our outside tech person, we don't even keep a key to the system. They pulled the whole entire DVR, give it to the FBI. And I'm sure that if there's what you called it,
Yes, there's inconsistencies
That's
where
then
it shows that
I just don't see the FBI covering
Do
the
motion sensors not cover the whole room
deal,
anymore?
okay?
Okay.
We had motion sensors
But
in
I
our
mean,
house.
that's
They covered the
all
whole
that,
room.
that's all that,
Depends on the
that I could explain on it. But I am thinking that I am quite sure they've got the whole DVR system,
Okay.
the whole thing.
Do you know the name brand of this your camera system? Do you have that? Okay, right on.
Is it-
That tax security out of Waller does that.
All right,
I
thank
don't know.
you.
As far as the motion sensor cameras, is there an on and off switch that someone has access to? So it runs 24/7. Who is certified and/or verifying the?
It's in a,
the
that
verification?
system's in a lockbox, and that outside security company is the one that's got access to it. We don't. There's nobody here does.
So there's nobody that can turn it on and off. Okay, and when it's done, how is it recorded? Is it on the chip? Is it video streamed? How is it archived?
It's a DVR. I mean, whatever.
It's
You're
probably
getting
the hard drive.
technical now. I'm sorry, but
Sheriff, I'm sorry.
I'm in that age group that's not that. I can't tell you.
I have just one follow-up question, then I'll leave you alone.
That's all
It's been a
right.
long.
I know. I think I said one question.
A long. some
That's all right. That's all
But
right.
you mentioned in the when she was being processed, there are two different forms. That the first time she said.
Well, it's same form.
Well, same
but
form, but two different.
Right.
You fill out, ask the same. You ask
Right.
the same series of questions.
Right.
During the process, the jailer or the processing officer, it was mentioned in the original autopsy report that she had scars on her wrist consistent with
Now,
a
I think
suicide
the
attempt.
pictures show up here.
Okay, but
Or
my
like
question,
a
my
cutter.
questioning is when the jailer observed that, why was that not a signal to say, okay, let's take this to another level? Why was she still treated as any other detainee? Why was that not factored in?
I agree with you 100%. It should.
Okay, then my follow up,
I
and
got
I'm
no
done. The follow up, because you
disagreement.
mentioned before, this is more of a comment than a question. I have a medical background, and as was mentioned before, where you could hear it, you couldn't see it, in the DPS officer's video with the audio, mentioned that she hit her head and she could not hear. Now, all of us in medical background would say that it's best to have an external injury or wound than internal. And they even tell you if it's internal, but you don't know, so don't even fall asleep.
Right.
So this also goes back to where was her mind state
Right.
during this process if you could hear on the audio that she had sustained a head injury. So it still gets back to this whole process. Not trying to place blame on you as the sheriff, but you're the overseer.
No.
That you're responsible for this county. Now
my responsibility here at the jail, I don't disagree with anything you're saying about the medical, mental, or anything about them. You know, the jailers didn't violate any rule or anything the way that was handled. Now, what the final autopsy deal, obviously, some of that with a head injury or anything, Obviously, it wasn't indicated that she had any of what preliminary that I know about the autopsy. But what you're saying about that, I get what you're saying and understand where you're coming from. And hopefully, I guess the family did one too, as far as I know.
Okay, speaking of autopsy, did you smell marijuana in this jail?
No, trust me, we didn't go back through that.
And
We got
she didn't have nothing on her either.
We did. We got an independent plumber to come back in here and scope the whole system, make sure we didn't have any flush down toilet.
But they say she had a large amount.
A large
That she
amount.
ingested
Said
in
that she might
jail.
have been smoking in jail.
In jail.
No,
So you-
I mean,
so
the only
you-
thing,
so
if
nothing
she
happened to
does,
jail, the child to her.
she could have swallowed some on the traffic stop. I don't know.
3 days later?
I don't know. But I've
That's
heard
a
that.
hell of a high.
I've
But
heard
just as a
that.
witness
Yeah,
in jail,
yeah,
y'all.
it's like a hay
show your
bale
officer
with a
that
weed,
it's
you know
like
No,
Yeah.
let me
I
explain
smoke weed,
something
so
to
you
you.
can tell that to somebody
I
that don't.
understand.
Yeah.
But let me explain something to you what Glenn Smith's talking about. Not a doctor and not a medical guy, but I know for a fact what happened before. You swallow a small bag of anything and you hope it passes all the way through you. But sometimes it gets in your intestine and it ruptures. Now that part you can Google. That's factual.
Yeah, you would have seen
So
that in the autopsy.
if that occurred,
Right.
she would have a high level, and it would be obviously later on in the weekend.
You would have seen that
If
on
that
the
happened.
autopsy.
Okay?
But that would have been in the
So-
autopsy if it had happened.
And I may have.
What do you
Okay?
mean? I thought the
But
autopsy
that
was
part
never
of
released.
it, I don't, that autopsy is going to the DA and Ranger, so that part of it, I've heard the same thing y'all have about the high level. All right?
Thank you.
All right, guys.
I'm good.
All right. Y'all be careful or stay cool.
Oh, we shall.
All right.